Welcome to Pain with a Purpose, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, redemption, and purpose. I'm your host, Chris Woods, and each week we will sit down with guests who have faced challenges with substance abuse, mental health, and recovery. But we're not just dwelling on the past. Instead, we'll explore what keeps them driven towards a purposeful life. Join us as we navigate the journey from pain to a purpose. So with that, welcome back to Pain with a Purpose, Season 2, Episode 15 with, what do we call him? I mean, it all depends on the day of the week, right? So I like to call him Ernest. Some people know him as Pace Roofing. Ernie is what he probably likes to be called. I like to say, like, call him what you want, but you can't call him broke. But yeah, Ernie Pace from Pace Roofing. Appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having me.
How was the drive?
I came from Lansdowne, an estimate in Lansdowne, so I shot over. I don't know this area for shit.
Shingles or flat?
It was a commercial.
Hate it. You know?
Yeah.
Biggest pain in my side, right? New construction? What?
Nah. It was, the roof probably be like 40, 50 years old, and the guy right away was like, I just want to repair it.
Full tear off? 12 to 15 year?
You're hired.
So obviously, Ernie owns Pace Roofing, right? And I'm like going on a whole sidetrack, but I'm excited about this one because obviously episode 1 was JBX, right? Johnny Butler. And we talked like at length about like the part that you played in his early, not only like sobriety, but like entrepreneurship. And like how he was working for you at one point, right? And like you guys kind of put your minds together and started
It's a good
to like.
story.
It's a really good one because I didn't
story.
know half of that stuff. You know, so I definitely was like wanting to get you on here for a longer period of time because I wanted to see like your side of it as well.
Long enough, huh? What episode are we at here?
It only took 35 episodes after that.
That's it.
But it's weird how like life comes full circle, right? Because like I didn't know you from a can of paint, right? Now we speak freely and like, like we're not like boys, but by all means, you know what I mean? Like closer with you.
You're my social media spiritual guide.
Yeah, whenever you get jammed up, and then you're like, all right, Woods, let me tag in real quick. But yeah, walk me through like where you're from, right? When you started to struggle a little bit, right? When you found sobriety, and then and we'll take it from there.
Okay. I struggle being in front of the camera, right?
No, I had no idea.
Right?
I had no idea.
It's 30. All right, so I was born in Kensington. I lived at Emerald, Ontario for my first 7-8 years. And then my dad bought a house down the street from my grandfather in it's like Frankford, Breisberg area. And, big Italian family. I remember shore trips. We all go down the shore. We rent a whole hotel out. Big barbecues in the courtyard. And, it was pretty normal growing up. I went to a small Italian Catholic parish. Not a lot of kids in the class, like I said, like 12 kids in the class. And, I was just, I don't know. I feel like grade school I was good. And then once like 8th grade came, hanging on the corners, it went from, stopped hanging in the parks to hanging in the corners. And,
I'm sorry, dude.
It's all right.
Works the same.
You got to guide me here.
So we'll edit all this out. But essentially, you stopped smoking Reggie. You started smoking gas. But yeah, no. So you stopped. So you stopped hanging out at the rec. You started hanging out in the woods. Is that what you said?
No, we didn't have woods in my neighborhood, man. We come from row homes. There was no woods.
Okay.
No
so
woods.
You started at the bottom.
Yeah. I still listen. I remember my first keg party was in Juniata Golf Course. High school keg party was in Juniata Golf Course, and I was like,
"That's the free course, right?" Or I'm sorry, public.
I don't know.
I don't golf either, but like,
you're a golfer though.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's like the real guys that like want to network and whatnot. Like this guy Johnny Butler, like they golf all the time. Like Joe
Fosberg or something like that.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys are the man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially, I think it's one of the public courses.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. I mean, that's when it was 100% harmless back then, right? Like keg parties were great.
Great times, man.
where I always struggle with, like, not only like my internal stuff, but like a lot of people that I grew up with, right? Like, were there with me drinking and drugging, right? Like at keg parties, whatever it was. Why did I go so far left and everybody else was like, Woods wanted to. It was just like he just burned his life to the. He knew what he was doing. No, I mean I truly didn't. I did to an extent when I was old enough, but like I was already too deep in it.
So like there was signs when I was like younger. Like I remember I was one of the younger crowds. Like you know, you got the younger crowd then that hung in the park, then you got the kids that hang in the corner across from the bar, wait until they're old enough to get in the bar. So I remember they came to me the one time and they're like, the kids on the corner, they're like, well, yeah, we're going to go down to Aramingo. You want to come with us? And like they asked me out of my whole group of friends, and I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I remember going down to Aramingo. When we get down to Aramingo, they give me a book bag. And like, you got to go in Kmart, Toys R Us. You got to like, they had me like stealing Pokemon cards and action figures and shit like that.
What were you boosting for? Just the boost?
They weren't boosting. I was the crash dummy. I was doing it. You know what I mean? But at that, like, it's like that symptom, like anything to fit in and feel accepted. Mm-hmm. You know? I remember going in scared to death, putting shit in my book bag and shit. I remember making it out of there, and they're like, "Yo, you're nuts, dude. You're nuts." And the acceptance, you know? Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I mean, like literally, like doing whatever just to like not only feel a part of, but like almost like feel an effect. You know what I mean? From like a super early age was like so prevalent. It's just like it wasn't until I got to be an adult and then like someone sat me down and was like, "Yo, this is why you do what you do." It didn't even like really click in my head. The problem was is that like even after they told me why I do what I do, I still continue to do the shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? All right, but you come from a large family, right?
Yeah.
Dad played a huge part, right?
Yeah.
Sister as well.
My sister.
What else? What other siblings you got?
So it was mom, dad, my sister, and my brother.
Okay. See, I haven't heard about your brother. Where's your brother?
My brother passed away.
So I didn't know that. When was that?
When I was 20. When I was 20. Drugs.
Geez. Okay. Yeah. I had no idea.
I mean, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
So like, I remember high school. Like, so I graduated from. It was Mater Della Rosa over by Denai Playground. You don't know. Roxborough dudes don't even come over that side. Mm-hmm. You know. Graduated from there. Went to North Catholic. You know. I went to North Catholic with a sense of entitlement. Like my whole family went there. My dad was the all Catholic running back. I went in there like they can't do shit to me. You know, went in there with this total like ego, and that's where like the addiction really like. It's crazy because I don't think I was like addicted because it was like a Xanax and weed thing, right? But like that's where it was just like I was just trying to fit in, and it was a blur to me, man. That first year of high school was a blur to me. And then I remember the end of the year, they told me not to come back.
Really?
Yeah, they told me not to come back. They said I have to go somewhere and then come back again.
What year?
2000.
Or what, like freshman, sophomore?
Freshman year. At the end of freshman year, they told me not to come back. And then I went to Frankfurt. But like even to this day, like I get people like, "Yo, you don't remember I went to Northwood?" And I'm like, I don't even remember that.
It's a blur.
It's a blur. It's a blur. Then I got kicked. Then I went to Frankfurt. And then we got me into Franklintown. I lasted 3 months in Franklintown, back to Frankfurt.
That's a charter school, right?
Yeah. Okay. I lasted 3 months in there, then back to Frankfurt. So it's just like the revolving, like, you know what I mean? All them symptoms are there. I can't keep it right in high school. And so I met a girl. I had a kid when I was 16. And,
holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Because not to skip way too much ahead, you're about to have a kid.
Have another kid.
You know? So it's like...
Yeah. It's like The Godfather. Just when you think you're out,
well,
they suck you back in.
Well, that as well, right? But like I can't imagine... I know when I had my kids, right? Twins, but regardless, like I was a kid at 20... How old was I? 27?
Yeah.
You know, so like having a kid at 16, I'm sure you had a lot of help, right? Like wherever...
Yeah, of course. I mean...
But that's like insane.
Yeah. And
not to cut you off, but to see how he turned out... I mean, you want to talk about God being real, brother.
Yeah. He's on the right path, man. Don't get me wrong. He's still got that knucklehead in him.
Well, he's still a pace.
Yeah, he got that knucklehead in him. But, you know, I'm very excited. Like, he's everything I wanted to be as a kid. Listen, he first off, he had a car. He had a brand new car when he was 16. I got him a brand new car for his 16th birthday. Washington Township, lives in Jersey. You know what I mean? High school girls, all that. He's jacked. Good look. Like, it's just like all the things you like. You know what I mean?
It's
The
everything.
formula. The formula's there.
It's everything that we could have been, but we just went so far.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, do you think like you and your upbringing and like really the lifestyle that you were living when he started to get into like the 7th, 8th grade, high school years, like you think that played a huge part in him staying on the straight and narrow? Although he's a knucklehead,
Yeah.
you think that was like him kind of staying on the straight and narrow?
I think he's seen what I was. You know what I mean? He wasn't blind to it when he was younger. Seen the chaos I had in me, and even his mother too. You know, he's seen that, and I think it scared him. And not to say, you think I ain't stupid. The kid, you know what I mean? The kid parties, dude.
Yeah. But listen, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But
No.
like, there's nothing wrong with it unless you have something like if you have what we have.
Yeah.
But
But then sometimes it's like it scares me because they say that like, the genetics in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I don't know, because like when you think back, it's like you don't know when it turned to that point. In my alcoholism addiction, I don't remember when it turned to that point.
I don't know when it turned to that point for me. I just know that like when I was like the last one to find out, it was way too late for me to figure anything out or like to
I'm
fix
doing
it.
great, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean he lives like the best life. He's the man. I don't know him well, right? But like I just know like I sit back, I watch, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Even when I was doing the car detail and stuff, I was like, this kid's a man.
Yeah.
I'll walk in there and he's like still waking up at like 11 o'clock. I'm like he's living.
He's still doing that. So he's studying for the electrical test now. He's working part time with me, and he trains 5 days a week at Martinez.
He's doing jujitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, yeah, Muay Thai, all that.
Yeah, so he's not just a Jersey kid. Like he can back it up.
I hope so, man.
Because he ain't a Frankford kid.
Huh? Ask him that.
All right, so I mean we could bullshit all day, but like the cool thing about like bringing you on, right, is I kind of wanted to like talk about. At some point, obviously, you burnt your life to the ground. When that happened, right, and eventually you found recovery, we'll start there. But like, really, I kind of want to like lead it into, like, you could have just got sober, right? Like, you could have just got sober, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I don't ever want to like downplay that. Like, that's okay. Like, a day of sobriety for us is fucking phenomenal. But, I think it's very much okay for us to want more out of life too.
Well, you got to take in mind, like, I come from like a chaotic family. Like, there was, it's crazy. So, it was me, my brother, my father, my mother, and my sister. My sister did not ever touch a drug, or like, to this day, like, she is like, she went that path, and like, I lost my mother at 17. I think I lost my brother at 20, and recently just lost my father a couple of years ago. That was a huge one for me, and like I said in the beginning, I come from this big family, and so eventually Dad lost the house down the street. We all had to move in with my grandfather down there. Mom died. Dad lost the house. We moved down there with my grandfather. There was all of us in this one little row home house, 3-bedroom row home house, and next my aunt moves next door, right? So my aunt, my first cousins are in there. So there's three of them, and next my cousin Kevin dies. Next my cousin Gina dies. All in this head. Like, my whole family, like, just
All from drugs?
all from drugs.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, this is normal, man. Like, I terrorized my neighborhood. And I never left my neighborhood either. Like, I was just like, I remember when it was 2003, I went away, and I went up to see my dad. My dad was in self-help, right? I go up there, and he's in self-help, and there's all these like dudes like me around. They're all smiling, laughing. Everybody's bullshitting out in the yard, smoking cigarettes and shit like that. And I couldn't tell you the last time I laughed or bullshitted and shit like that. And so we visit him. We go home, and then like, cause all my aunts, we all went up to visit him. I think it was his birthday, and I remember going home, and they're all like, "Yeah, you should go up there with your dad." And then they talked. That was my first rehab.
Oh, you mean to get help?
Yeah, to get help. Yeah. And then that was my first introduction into like rehab, because there was no really sobriety. I wasn't doing meetings. I went up there, again, Chip on, went up, crawled in, got a couple weeks under my belt. Chip came on the shoulder. Who I am. I'm Ernie Pace. Fuck this joint, this and that. Couldn't wait to go down the neighborhood, show everybody. I did some push-ups, got some weight on me, and then it was a spiral.
It's crazy, dude, because we bounce back quick.
Quick.
Right? And, like, our biggest downfall is our ego, right?
Yeah.
But, like, it's wild. Like, this time around, like, it looked much different, right? But, like, unfortunately, for me, and probably much like yourself, right? Like, where I had to, like, bang my head a million different times.
Same.
I envy the people that, like, go in for the first time, and they're like, whatever you say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I go in there absolutely broken, right? Whether it be self-help or the nicest place in the world. And, like, within 7 days, I'm ready to eat. Like, I'm able to eat. I'm able to sleep maybe a little bit. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Not me, dude.
You know what I mean?
Weeks. Every time I was coming off Suboxone, dude. And that was like 3 weeks. Brutal. I remember people were coming off of, like, opiates. You know what I mean? Everything else, 5 days, they're bouncing back. And they're like, how you doing? I was like, it's just a little bit of sleep, please. Just a little bit of sleep.
A little bit of sleep. A normal shit would be nice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 3-4 weeks in here. I'm still getting the chills out of nowhere.
The restless legs were bad, man. That was the worst.
Yeah, coming off. So I only did that once. Coming off subs, but I was on subs for a while.
Same.
But when I finally made the attempt to do it, I was like, even though I relapsed a few times after that, I was like, I'm never going back. I'm never going back on them, because that was the worst time of my life.
They were my saving grace, man. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why it was the worst part of my life, because I would just run forever on those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could show up to work. I could do my thing. I can actually try to save a couple dollars with them. Then other broad ideas come in.
Yeah. So, but like also back then, there wasn't like any real oversight with them. They were just giving them to me. You know what I mean? There was no therapy attached to it. There was no, there was drug testing, but like even though I was popping hot, like nobody cared.
Yeah, dude, this was 2000. I think I was 8. As soon as they stopped making oxys, I got on them. I remember, it's funny. I was just speaking at self-help last week, and the dude that first gave me a sub was in there.
Really?
Yeah, and I was telling my story, and the dude, I was like, matter of fact, this dude right here.
Threw him right out there.
Yeah, dude, because what's crazy? He got them, and they weren't like subs. They looked like a piece of wax contact lens from a doctor in Jersey. It was weird. It was
really
weird. I remember I took this. I wasn't sick for days. I was good. And I was like, this is it. And it was like 8-year journey on them things. 8-9 years. Yeah. I was going all the way to 22nd and Diamond to see a doctor. I was straight in the hood.
Yeah, 22nd. Jeez. Yeah, I was at one point I was in like Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Which, you know what I mean, being from Roxburgh, because we're, it's a nice area. I was down the way, brother.
Nah, the Roxborough dudes say Germantown. Yeah, I was up Germantown. Yeah.
Uptown.
Up top.
19144. That's actually where I grew up, but I just actually say that I'm from Roxborough.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, we digress. But like subs, you know what I mean? Like they weren't like they are now, right? Like there was like no oversight with it, right? Like,
right.
And I paid cash, right? I would go to the doctor, like I paid cash, I'd leave with the script.
They would double dip. They'd hit the Medicaid, and then they make me pay cash too. So they double dip the doctor's office.
The crazy thing is that like so I had like a really weird family dynamic growing up. So like my mom obviously wanted me to get better, right? My grandfather wanted me to get better, but my grandfather was a little bit more hip to like he'll do whatever he had to do to like make sure that I was well in like a okay way essentially. So he was the one that always found me my sub doctors. And he would be like, we're getting in the car, and then we'd be going, and next thing you know, like we're pulling up to this like real weird place that doesn't even look like it's open.
Yeah.
And it's a clinic, you know what I mean? Whatever. So eventually you got sober, right? So you did 8 years of that.
8 years of that. Went to rehab.
Now the last place you went to, that was self-help as well?
Mm-hmm. That's the only place I ever went to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been revolving during there, and that's why, dude. Anytime I get a chance to go back there and talk about my experience there, so the first time I went there, didn't last long. Ego came back, couldn't wait to run down the neighborhood. Second time I was in there, me and Chauncey. I met Chauncey. I don't know if you know Chauncey, my buddy Chauncey. I met him in there. We got kicked out together. We were gambling. It was just again, got back in there, shit show, ego, got kicked out. I remember the third time. Now, each time the progression got worse and worse and worse, and now it was the third time I went back there. I remember I had to call Coop. I called Gary in case management. I got everybody calling to get me up there, and I get up there. They get me a bed, and something changed in me when I got there. Now I showed up there. I was running Kensington and thong flip flops. My hair was like out to here, and I wasn't manipulating their system this time. Like this time, like it was just like I was so beat up that I was willing to actually take suggestions and like, and so like when I say manipulate their system, dude, I had every food allergy and I was allergic to onions, tomato, anything. I had every food allergy to get a backup plate. I was getting keys. I had phone, like, you know what I mean? So this time I was in there, I just literally played by the rules, right? And I actually talked to my counselor about shit. And I actually participated in groups because like this shit just kept getting worse, man. It kept getting worse. And each time I was there before, they like, I don't know, self-help got like you can go up to the halfway house and transitional living. Yep. And I remember I ain't going up to that halfway house. Why would I pay to live here in transitional living? I stayed at self-help for a year, man. A year. And then I remember being there. When I got to the halfway house, I started getting introduced to meetings. You know what I mean? Meetings. And I remember, well, granted, I was going for all the wrong reasons, you know?
Sure.
You know?
As like, listen, Pain with Purposes podcast, right, is never to be like, you know what I mean? Like, one day, the 8th time around, you just, started going to the stepping stones, you know what I mean? And transformed your life. No.
Yeah,
What it looked like for me is like I was at a recovery house. I was borrowing my fucking roommate's clothes because they had nicer shit than I did.
Oh, yeah.
And I was turning the turning the stepping stones or whatever meeting we were going to into like a half-ass fashion statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I was there for all the wrong reasons, but I was there.
Do you look back on them like memories on Facebook?
I do.
Of the early sobriety?
They're excruciating, but like
so bad.
But like it molded me for what I am today. You know
what I
mean?
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong. Like I have like there's like weird stuff in my life that like I really like that like is on the expensive side, right? But like there's other stuff that like I cared about early on, where it's like I could care less. You know what I mean? It's weird how it all transforms. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. So I started going to the meetings. I started going around and I'm seeing dudes like they all got fresh haircuts, clean sneakers. They all got cars, like newer cars. And they just that attraction was there, right? They all got the union jobs, and I'm following suit. So I remember I got with my sponsor. He made me write a list of like goals that I want to accomplish in the year, and I think one was a GED, one was get a union job. Get a bank account, establish credit, lease a car, you know what I mean? All these materialistic goals. And then I remember my first, without even trying, I accomplished these goals, man. And that wasn't me like in a book every day, like studying. It was like having real dudes around me that were like, yo, did you sign up for that GED test? All right, the union test is in April. You got better get on that. Next week they call me up. Did you go sign up for that? You know what I mean? Yo, did you take your paycheck and go put it in the bank and get that bank account made? Like I had dudes that like held me like to a standard. And I crushed them goals, man. That was like a huge accomplishment in my life coming from where I come from, man. Because I like when I was out there, man, I thought this was it, dude. Yeah, we don't make making it out. It's like like even growing up where I'm from, like drugs were like frowned upon. Like there wasn't too many of my friends that like partied how I partied.
I mean, maybe like weed was okay, right?
Yeah, like weed, occasional bathroom. Some dudes be in the bathroom doing some coke, but like I got it in, bro. And like I said, I remember the one time I got out of rehab, I went back down the neighborhood. I was all husky, all you know what I mean. I was doing my push-ups, and within like 3 weeks, dude, I was back. I lost 30, 40 pounds. Yep. And I remember everybody's out front of the bar, smoke. This is when they just stopped smoking. You couldn't smoke in the bars no more. Everybody's out front of the bar smoking cigarettes, and I'm looking down, and I see everybody up. So now I got to take the long way around the neighborhood to the fucking, like, so nobody sees, like, that whole, like, shame, guilt. And I tormented my family. I remember my sister would lock her door. She put a deadbolt in her door. Mm-hmm. Like, there was, like, 3 locks. I was able to take this door off the hinges.
You just do it the back way. You just do it from the hinge.
No. Like I would take the whole door, the trim off, door out, And then, I put it back together and caulk and touch up the paint within a matter of a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
Within a matter of a half hour.
So not to turn it into this, right? But like I do think that I need to like dive a little bit deeper into like relating with anybody that might be watching this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my time of like going in and out of rehab, like all the time, right? Like I've never been a laborer, right? If I was to take the door off, I'm just destroying it. It ain't coming back on. But I was a bartender, right? So like at one point,
I get it.
At one point, I was headed into work, right? And I was driving it was like a hand-me-down Jeep, but it was a 99 Jeep. But essentially, it had a perfect spot in the Jeep on the dash for a couple joints. Right?
Yeah.
Something happened where I made like a hard left or a hard right, and the thing rolled and went behind the dash.
Oh, we're taking the whole thing apart.
Within 20 minutes, dude, the whole dash of my car, like once I parked at the bar and had to be in there within like a half hour, was already off. Got the thing, like...
You didn't find it, though.
No, I did.
Did you?
Found it, did it. Dash was back on, you know what I mean? Still had that same screwdriver. But, like, that's the shit that we do, right? Like, that's not a fucking choice, right? And, like, that's what I'm continuing to kind of bring up here is, like... And I don't know if it's, like, this ongoing resentment that I have with, like, people that, like, think that, like, the life that we lived, like, living up to this was, like, some sort of, like, conscious decision that like I wanted to continue to just be a scumbag, because that's not the case.
It wasn't I don't even know if I had it was just like tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even like thoughts when I think back on it. It was just like a tunnel vision, you know?
The best way that I can put it is like if somebody's like motivated in the gym, right, or motivated in like a healthy way for like their diet or whatever the case was, and wherever that drive comes from, right,
Mm-hmm.
like multiply that by 1,000,000, right, and that's what I did to get one more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we need to start like kind of relating a little bit more on like that regard, right? Because it's not like we just woke up one day on the 8th Treatment Center and you were like, all right, I'm now willing, right? And like God came down and touched you, and like that wasn't the case. There was a lot of work that had to happen from like the last time you went into treatment and continuing to have that willingness, right? And recovery may or may not look the same as it does today than it did, however many years ago.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Like we need to have that conversation where it's like you don't have whatever, right? Whatever works for whoever, right? But for me, like my sobriety has transformed over the last couple of years, where it's not like I'm in a meeting every single day, you know what I mean? Or I'm like breaking down the big book every single day. A lot of times it can be me in the gym, or it can be me progressing in work, or me progressing like, whatever, personally, like diving into self-help books. Like it can be whatever we want it to be. Because I was brainwashed. I use that term very loosely, but like with the Stones, right? Like I love those guys and they saved my life, but like I thought that was the only way to stay sober. You know what I mean?
Same. I was life or death, man. And like now I can't even go to that. But like, and that place is great. It helps so many people, right? But now it's just like I think I outgrew that recovery scene. You know what I mean?
And it's not maybe that like I outgrew it, right? But like I don't know, right? I just like I stopped trying to figure out like if I have this addiction piece or not. Like I've also stopped I stopped like beating myself up for not struggling with this every single day anymore, and like having to be somewhere at like a given time. Because I also was told by those same people that are at the Stones or Life or Death that if my sobriety is like contingent on like the 7 o'clock, I'm really in a bad spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's those same rooms that were like, well, if you're not, you know what I mean? Like, well, what are you not doing? It's like, okay, well, we can take an honest look at that, but like I'm saying all that to say like my sobriety has transformed. So anyway, to get into like the real reason why I want you on here, it's not because like you're sober or anything like that. It's because Pace Roofing. I'm just kidding. But yeah,
All right.
backtrack though. So like you talked about Dad being in self-help.
Uh-huh.
Where was Pace Roofing in the sense? Because like I've seen the old pictures, right? Where was Pace Roofing as like a company during all of this before you even got sober?
Before I got sober?
And where Dad, and like when Dad was in.
Okay, so my grandfather was home remodeling, and then my dad did the home remodeling. My dad was like woodwork. My dad was a beast, man. And then it slowly transformed into windows and doors, window siding and doors. Right. My dad hated roofing. My father
really,
okay. dirty job. My dad, nice clean work, where I like roofing. It was like I didn't have to pull. You didn't need a tool belt. I didn't need a tape measure. You just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my, and So like I said, my dad was struggling, and he was just when my mom died, he went into a dark place, my father, and I feel like he just gave up on life, man. He was just floating in the wind, man. He really was, because he struggled, and I remember the last time we got him back up self-help, and that was so we got him back up there, and he was in there. I think he did 30 days. I remember going up to see him, and right away, it's like everybody's famous story. They get away as soon as they get their legs back under them. They got a million places to be. I got work waiting for me, and I got to go get my license back, or my kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where were they at 2 weeks ago? Now all of a sudden everything's a priority. Everybody's in a race to go.
Ern's
somewhere.
in there with you. What do you mean your kids?
No, this is the last time. Yeah, yeah. But so he's in there. I'm going up and visiting him, and dude, I had all like, yo, I got a truck waiting for you. Like, I really wanted my father on this roofing, you know what I mean? This journey. And so he left after 30 days. And I remember getting a phone call, and they're like, yeah, your dad's whacked right now. So then I went over, I go talk to him, and I'm like, you got to go back up there. He's like, all right, I'll go back up there. I just slipped up, whatever. And then I might have snapped on him a little bit too, like, and we go home, and then I remember getting a phone call like, your dad's at Temple, right? And I'm like, all right, dude. My dad OD'd plenty of times. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go pick him up, snap on him, drive the guilt ride home. Like, you learn your lesson back there.
Yep.
And I remember I get to Temple, and I'm asking where my father is. Now they got him under what's it, John Doe or something like that, whatever you want to say. So, like, can you describe your father for me? I'm like, he got a tattoo here, this and that. He's about 4'4", and literally as I'm talking to the doctor, she goes, all right, and she just pulls the curtain back right behind her, and he's just laid out. I'll tell you what, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I haven't been the same since. I am, when it comes to like I said, I run through like my whole family, like. Friends, like that's a yearly thing, friends, and it's just like, when it comes to death, I am like emotionally. It's
now or since then.
It was there, but that was it. Now it's just like,
Well, it doesn't. I mean, for all things considered, it doesn't get any worse than that, right? So now it's like, you know, as we continue to lose our people, right, our friends, it's just like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's
that's insane, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Because I mean, none of that's easy, right? But like, they didn't have to do it. Like,
yeah, and then
that was
literally
at Temple Episcopal.
Temple off Broad Street, Broad and Venango down there.
Yeah.
The trauma center down there. And I remember, I'm in a place like before, like my brother died, my mom, like all, like I wasn't in a place. I wasn't in a place at all. Now I'm in a place. They're coming to me now. You know. All right, what are we gonna do? I had to go to the funeral parlor, the arrangements. You know, me and my sister, and it was. Let me tell you, it's. I don't know. I can't even put it into words, man. I really can't. Just that whole emotion, and then still, like, I think about it. It's like, yeah, I'm used to just pushing shit down my whole life. You know, everybody, I just push it down, and then it's like, when I talk about it here, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make it any easier, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about like the people that we surround ourselves with, and the people that we probably come in frequent contact with, is like, you're able to help people whether you know it or not, with shit just like that. You know what I mean?
But let me tell you, AA showed up for me.
Mm-hmm.
People just showing up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just they weren't even like close friends. Just like, you know what I mean? Acquaintances showing up. Text the phone. You know, it's I tell it like this, like my neighborhood friends, like, I always went back down, and like, you know what I mean? They wanted to see you doing good, but not better than them. It's like people in AA generally want better for you, man. And like their opinions are like authentic, not like malicious. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. Devious, like, you know what I mean? Like, ulterior motive, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Like my friend group, like you see who I associate myself with in AA, man. Like they like they truly are like the best support group there is, man.
Yeah.
My circle, man, it really is.
So not to go like completely curveball and completely different
All right, let me
subject
wipe
on it,
these
right?
tears.
But no, but that's the whole deal, right? Like that's how kind of Pain with a Purpose actually, the thought of it originated, right?
Yeah.
Was like looking at people like you and Johnny and like, you know, these heavy hitters and like that have created their own businesses, right? Where it's like it all starts in AA, right? But then it all stemmed on like a much bigger like the mastermind group, right? Like all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's what I want more of. You know what I mean? Like I want more, and like we're not talking from like a financial standpoint. It's more of like just more authenticity. Where it's like I don't want nothing more. I don't want nothing for you other than the
Right.
win. You know what I mean?
But
Like I don't wish bad on you. Like I don't like you know what I mean. Like and that's like what life's at least today. Like that's what it's about.
yeah, so like I don't know when I like go to like meetings and like when I speak or like when I share, I don't like to bring up my life now. You know what I mean? If that like because I remember being in that in them rooms and just like hearing this dude's like, I got the big house, I got cars, I got toys. You know what I mean? All these materialistic things, right? And my business, it's just like it was a skeeve to me, man. It was a skeeve. I want to relate because I am that dude. I'm like, you know what I mean? People see like they see the rewards of the sobriety and the hard work and all, but like I was down in them trenches, bro. I was
Yeah.
I was bottom of the bottom, man. And I like to relate, man, because like I tell like I say like listen, if somebody in this room said they want to be an astronaut, I would 100% believe you because I've seen accomplish like what I've been able to accomplish in my like short sobriety, you know, and like the old school cliche is if they asked you what you wanted when you first came in, you would have been selling yourself short. What I have, dude. What I have. What I have.
What people don't really seem to also realize, right? Not to keep it on like a business perspective, right? But like they also don't see the stress you're under either. You know what I mean? Like even your significant other doesn't see the stress you're under. She sees like bits and pieces,
Oh, she sees
but
it.
she doesn't see the internal.
Oh,
she
she sees
sees the external that you're like letting her see. But like imagine the shit.
What
when
about the
you're-
Bell's palsy I caught in Saloon?
Oh my god!
That was from stress.
Oh my god! I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's
yeah.
the stuff we don't talk about, right? Like it's
Yeah.
we don't talk a lot about like the here and now and like the shiny shit. Although I think we need to because like also, again, right? Like I didn't go through all the stuff that I went through just to like, you know. So like I do like the life I live, right?
Right.
I don't try to throw it in anybody's face, right? And I try to really dance around it for the most part. But if it wasn't for like, you know, essentially the people that I have around me, I wouldn't have all that stuff. But the behind closed doors, it's a very like the life that we prayed for, right? The life that you probably prayed for when you were 9 months in at self help.
You still have that
You're like,
thought process, dude.
I
Like,
know.
like this, like the projecting into the like, even with all my sobriety, still projecting into the future. Like, dude, the stress. Like, I forget. I think it was February 2nd, bro. It was February 2nd. I'm like, yo, there's only 28 days in this month.
I'm thinking about the Bell's palsy.
She got a good. Did you see the clip she put up of it? That was all from.
I was like, dude, what happened to what happened to Ernie out there, dude?
Dude, I thought I was gonna have to go to the Mexican hospital and have
Yeah.
them quacks put Humpty Dumpty back together
Yeah,
again.
dude.
Come out
Oh,
missing
my
a
God.
kidney.
Oh, dude.
I thought I was having a stroke.
But they did say it was some stress.
Yes, stress.
Yeah.
Stress.
Most beautiful, one of the most beautiful places in the world. Just stress of the nines.
Yeah, we had a big snowstorm. My phone's ringing, and like I felt powerless, and like I'm like, oh, and just it was just, dude, the head, your mind, just I don't care how much sobriety you got, you still have that thinking, man. And like I was just saying, like it was February 2nd this year, and I'm already like, yo, we only got 3 weeks. It's a short month, dude. I'm already thinking bills are due. This is due. You know, I got to line shit up for my guys. I got people that rely on me.
Friday's end of the month.
Yeah, it's dude, stress and this head, man. It's
Do you think that's why you're successful though?
oh yeah, it's
Like,
definitely.
do you think your threshold for like the pain and the stress is a little bit larger, or maybe you're more tolerant to like being able to like be in some situations that you're like fuck, you know what I mean, and then still come out on the other side, or do you think that it's just the name of the game? Do you think that everybody's like going through the same shit?
Nah, dude, because I look like, dude, I like bring up like I got Johnny Butler and I got like Joe Gagne. Like these are both roof like they're nice. I mean, Butler does freak out. He gets a little goofy too. But like, you got Joe, man. Like, you got these dudes that'll just like I'm on a ledge about something, man, and they literally like can simplify it. So, you know what I mean? Like, yo, it's all gonna be good. We got some rain coming. This is my Big Joe voice. We got some rain coming next week, Holmes, and we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right, man. The phone's gonna ring. You know what I mean? We'll be back to it. Like, you know, it's just like a constant. It ain't all sunshine and rainbows like people think, man. You know?
No, but that's what people still getting over bronchitis. But that's what people want to talk about, right? Like they want to. Not that really I care about what people say anymore, but like they would love to be like, you know what I mean? If I was talking shit on Ernie, it would be like, you know what I mean? He's got the shiny stuff. You know what I mean? He forgot what he can. It's like, no, it's not. It's none of that. And that's why essentially I wanted to have you on, right? Because again, like it's okay to want more. It's okay to also outgrow, not like recovery, but outgrow what I was born into, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm okay. I'm allowed to want that.
I'm like, this past year, I've been all about growth, like growth in the business, growth in like, you know, thinking. And I'll tell you what though, for my first couple of years in business, I was just winging this shit, man. Just keep going to work harder, just
Aren't
go.
we all?
Yeah, but now I have a thought process behind it, which makes me even more crazier, dude. More crazier, because it's like, all right, I'm going to take the business over to South Jersey now, and I'm going to brand the I'm going to like now I'm thinking of all these marketing strategies, sales strategies. I'm reading books on it, and it's like now it's like the chaos is, you know, like it's getting, because before I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just working.
Well, that's the funny part, right? Like you literally got to a point where you're like, I found a process that works, and now you're like, all right, let me add more to this shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to jump all over the place, but like let's touch on Johnny, right? Because like Johnny obviously, you know, was like your top gopher.
my guy.
He was your top
my
gopher
guy.
at one point, and I said it. I say it proud, right? Like, and I was a gopher for a long time, but I'm sure, I don't know if you grew up with Johnny or not, right?
No.
But like essentially, he proved to be like a very good employee.
I'll
at
tell
one
you a
point,
story.
right?
I'll tell you. So Johnny was working at Friday, so I was in self-help with this kid Mike Namoli, one of my good friends. Me and Mike Namoli hit it off.
He passed as well, right?
He passed as well. So me and Mike Namoli get an apartment. We both leave self-help. We get an apartment. Mike relapses, and then I'm talking with my sobriety friends. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, this dude's getting high. We're both on an apartment. Everybody's telling me, well, like, he ain't going nowhere. You got to leave. And there's like, I ain't going nowhere. My name's on that lease. They convinced me to leave. So I left the apartment. And they're like, he ain't going to be able to afford the rent. Don't worry. He'll be forced. You know what I mean? Next, you know, Johnny Butler moves right to fucking there, dude. And I remember calling Johnny, like, you're fucking the process up. We got to get him sober. And shortly, that was long. I think within a month, Mike passed away. And then that's how me and Butler started, like, you know what I mean? We started communicating. We started becoming, you know what I mean, close friends. And then I think the pandemic hit. Fridays was closed. And I remember Butler popped up on a roof. We were doing a roof in Morel. He had blonde hair at the time. He had the Justin Bieber gown, blonde hair. He popped up on the roof just to get a pic saying he was on the roof.
We're gonna put up a picture of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll send you the picture.
Yep.
Just to take a picture on the roof with a torch. And
It
then,
wasn't even working.
No. He just rode by to climb a ladder and come on the roof and take a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember he showed up. The next you know, I was like, yo, you want a day here? He's like, all right, yeah. And the next you know, and he showed up, man. And when I tell you that kid was the most reliable guy I had, and he was with, dude, he picked it up. And then next you know, I had his whole road employed. I had Merlini, another one of our friends that passed away. I had his buddy Timmy Kane. I had the whole house at the company. And when I tell you, they were all jacked, shirts off. I was selling jobs left and right, dude. Left and right.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
This is different branding. Branding back.
Oh, man.
It
Hottest
worked back
roofers
then
in the
like that.
city,
Yep.
dude. You know, we could have did a whole calendar shoot. And so I remember, you know what I mean? Like, you do this for so long, you become a little stagnant. And, you know, Butler wanted more. I remember he was studying so hard for this electrician's test, right? And I was all for it, dude. I was like, yeah, bro, you know what I mean? And studying. I remember he failed it, dude. And he was so disappointed.
I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, man. He was just like, when Butler gets upset, he don't get upset a lot. When he gets upset, he gets upset, man. And I remember like, dude, what, you don't need that union job, dude. I was like, you got this. And I remember I lent him a truck, and We went and got it wrapped for him. Started the LLC, and this kid took off, man. This kid took off, and then I think it was like a year later, I went and got a garage down Port Richmond, a little shop down Port Richmond, and I got him a little section in the garage. And I remember the look on his face. He was just like, ah. And when I tell you, it was like a little tiny bot, like a little corner in the office.
That
And,
goes so far for people like us, though.
yeah. Gave him his own key, like, yo, access, because, I had all this equipment and shit like that. And then now here we are. I remember we got this big shop now, and I remember going over it with him. I'm like, Johnny, we're gonna go get this. I'm gonna go get this big garage. And he was like, he was so procrastinated about it. Once he pulled up, he was like, all right, let's do this, man. He saw the garage. He saw the whole setup, and
well, it's tough, right? Like, and I don't know if you have grown out of it or not, right? But like, I think about my mortgage, right? And like, it doesn't matter if it's high, low, or indifferent, right? But I think about my mortgage, right? And then you think about like what your rental, your shop rent is, right?
yeah,
I'm sure it ain't cheap. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter where it is, right? I'm sure it's not cheap because it's very large as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that mindset of like early sobriety, right? And having a couple dollars in my name and then being like, how am I gonna swing
but these
this?
are the decisions I made in my. I remember I took that union test. I was in the carpenters union, and I remember it's all I ever wanted, right? And then I'm like, I don't think this is for. It's them impulsive jumps that I know it's like swim or drown. And with this shop, like, I'm like, dude, this is the next step we got to do to grow. You know what I mean? We need to be able to keep inventory. We need the forklift. We need office space. You know what I mean? Like, we have the vision. You know what I mean? There's a vision to grow, man. And like all the, of course that played a factor, the fucking rent, but it's like, yo, it's sink or swim, man. And we're doing all right.
Yeah. No, listen, as much as like you guys, myself included, right, will like say like, it's slow, whatever the case is, like you guys like think back even 3 years ago, right? That's when I think 3 years ago is probably when I first like became a little bit closer with Johnny. And I remember him just starting off, and probably right 3 years ago.
Probably 3 years ago.
And I was, detailing cars.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about like all the LLC stuff.
And that's how we linked up. I remember Johnny said you detailed his car. I was like, shit, send him over. That's how we always do it, dude.
And you know what's crazy is that was the start of like the content. You know what I mean? Because we had shout out Danny Bennett, right? Danny Bennett was like one of the best in Roxborough that like I know of. Still is one of the best to do it. His like style's like second to none. If I find out you're using Danny Bennett, I'm gonna be pissed. But like, like we came over, we did a collab video of JBX and You Got a Guy detailing. Mm-hmm. It blew up, right? It did really well. And then it became very apparent that like the content is not going anywhere either. So it's just weird, man. Like everybody just wants to see everybody grow, but it was cool to see how it all kind of came to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's it look like now as far as obviously sobriety, right? But like sobriety, mental health, entrepreneurship. We won't give too many like clues on like what's coming next for Pace, JBX, New Lens Media, but like what's all that look like, right? Like how do you keep your head on a swivel? How do you not like get cerebral palsy every other?
So,
and you got we didn't even talk about like your personal life really.
Yeah.
You got another one on the way, right?
Yeah.
A girl or a boy?
Boy.
Lucky you. Love my kids, but but yeah, so you got another one on the way.
Yeah, I mean, home, personal, like, I'm very fortunate for the life I have, man. Mm-hmm. And just when I think I've reached a peak, another, you know what I mean? There's another horizon. Did that sound gay, me saying it like that, though?
I mean, now we have to edit it because I'm not big enough to like rock out and say, did that sound gay?
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was the question again, dude? I don't know. You don't fucking know. I just get when.
Oh, we died?
Yeah, man.
All right. But no, essentially, like, what does life look like today, right? Like outside of like the shiny shit and all that stuff. Like, how do you keep your head on a swivel? How do you keep your head like level? How do you keep like your significant other Tony like not ready to kill you? How do you guys prepare for like going to welcome another baby into this world?
I think she's just learning to deal with like before it was like I don't think she ever encountered a head like mine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like just manic all the time, impulsive. Like book the flight. We're leaving tomorrow. Like just mm-hmm. Very impulsive. I can get, and I think she grounds me a lot, man. So, yeah, we got a wedding coming up next year. Baby
all
on
that,
the way.
all that stuff like planned. You got like the venue, the.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's all her stuff, right?
Yeah. She had to hit the Chess Cafe, dude. You know that.
Oh, it's good food. It's good. I mean, dude, like think about that, right? Like we're talking about. I didn't even know what Chess Cafe was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do because I've been to a few.
Yeah.
But we're like, dude, I do opiates daily. That's like my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wake up, I rob like my mom. You know what I mean? And now we're talking about like, I got, like the venue's booked. It's a Chess Cafe fucking wedding.
Yeah.
If people don't know what a Chess Cafe is, it's like, dude, come hungry. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be, it's insane.
Yeah. I've been to a few of them, and let me tell you, they're nice events. They are. Dude, I can't. If I sit here and like, what keeps my head on straight? My network group, right? When I'm in that truck all day, I wake up in the morning. I let the dogs out. Spend some time with Tony and the kid before I head out, and I'm in the truck, and then right away the brain's on. It's really on it before, but like I'm in full effect. And that's when like I'll start dialing people up, like just. Everybody's getting it all hours of the day. I got Jack Delaney calling me. I got CJ Orr calling me. This was all today, too. Yeah. I was supposed to call my one boy Trav back, too, now that I'm reminded. Just my network. My network is huge, right? And then when I get home, I got, I got responsibilities at home, and I got her grounding me big time, and because, like, this head sometimes don't turn off. Mm-hmm. Doesn't turn off. And, and then... sometimes she wants to put my head through a wall. She said, I'm a zombie. I'll be staring at my phone for like hours.
It's the whole nature of the beast, right? Yeah. And like, doesn't matter what you're staring at. You could be staring at Instagram Reels, or you could be staring at estimates, or you could be staring at like, I mean, if we're really talking about it, you could be staring at like your direct competition. You could be staring at like their social media.
It's everything.
But like our heads just keep going. You know what I mean? And I think a big part of it, to the point of like people seeing the shiny stuff, right? Is like they don't see the whole team that you have behind you. Right? Yeah. That are not affiliated with like Pace Roofing, right? Nah. But really it's like when you think of Ernie Pace, right? You think of like there's the Jack Delaney's, there's the CJ's, there's the Travs, there's the Johnny Butlers. Dude, there's the the Chris Woods, who deserves the most credit. But like there's a whole team of people that like at any given time you could bounce something off them, right? And it's like we already know the answer, but like we just need to constantly be talking to people that are like continuing to grow.
Yeah, I mean, me getting in front of this camera, right? Like, think of me when I'll say up until a year ago, I was a shadow for Pace Roofing. My picture wasn't on nothing.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't even want to be known as like sometimes I show up and like, yeah, all right, I got to talk to the owner. I'll get back to you. Like, I was just a shadow in this. And like, now it's like, I got people around me like, you got to step your game up. You got to do this. And this is me doing the content now, which is so uncomfortable. Me being in front, me just talking. I'm not a talker. I come from like, you don't do this, man.
But that's the thing. We are though, but we break balls. Like we know how to break balls, right? Yes. We don't know how to make content, right? Yeah. But the best content, what I'm finding out, is just like us being us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And being authentic and just being consistent.
But then I just watch the content and I cringe sometimes. I look at myself. I'm like,
don't get me wrong. I hate all.
Does my hair look like that? And it's like, why don't like I'm fidgety and.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm still not fond of it, right? Even though like I'm definitely in it.
You look great.
But like the truth is that like this is the way that the world's going, right? Yeah. At what point, like, I mean, who knows? Like 5 years from now, if we're just like not even going to interact in person anymore, we just throw on. I know, like Johnny and Joe, like golf at night together.
With the RV sets on, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're sitting in their living rooms and they're just golfing with each other. Like that's like when the first time when they told me about that, I was like, wait, you just do what? You know what I mean? It took one time for like my wife to come down in the middle of COVID. I was playing PlayStation and she was like, I didn't know I married a kid, and I was like, oh, all right.
If you ever see me playing a video game, I'm on amphetamines.
Dude, it was just like it was a time filler for me. You know what I mean? Like I was just on, and I sucked.
Yeah, I can't.
I was
just the tunnel in on a game. It's.
But yeah, so, anything you want to say before? I didn't even do my plugs, dude. I'm the worst content guy around.
Who we got?
I got to do like a B-roll thing where I just roll it out on the front end.
Okay. So should we
we redo the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
Because you got me on 76 traffic now, dude.
That's all right. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've listened up to this point, you like what we're talking about. Really, we're talking about like recovery, mental health, entrepreneurship, really all things like bettering ourselves, right? Give us a like, a follow on Instagram at Pain W Purpose, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Pain with a Purpose podcast. We're on all of them. But yeah, with that, anything else you want to say before we shut it down?
Nah, man. I think.
All right, give me the next. All right, how about this? I forgot to ask you that. How have you, and I think yours is a little bit different than the normal answer, right? But like, how have you turned all this pain leading up to like, not only like growing up in like Frankfurt, right? Like growing up in like, not saying that that's good, bad, or different, but like growing up in like a smaller house, right? Smaller street, whatever.
Yeah.
Close knit family, but like slowly but surely kind of like losing, people over the years.
Yeah.
Going through substance abuse, going through your own mental health stuff currently. That was a joke. You were
Nah,
supposed to laugh.
it's real shit.
I was going off of like the whole cerebral palsy thing.
It's cerebral. It's Bell's palsy. Cerebral palsy is what Christopher Reeves had, or something.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, it wasn't far off. We'll put up that picture too. We'll put up that picture because you looked like it.
Damn.
But yeah, how have you gone through all of this stuff, right, to turn it into like a constant purpose, essentially? Because I know the answer. I mean, I have my own perception of the answer of you, but I'm interested to hear like how you can maybe put it into words.
So what? The purpose now?
Yeah, like how you've turned all of your pain, right, into like some sort of like purpose in your life.
I think life's different these days, and I don't know. I was kind of able to like rebrand myself into like this, what I always wanted, who I'm supposed to be. So now I'm living the life that I truly deserve, man. And to give that up for a drink right now, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? To go back so far backwards. And it's like, I can't, like, if I had a magic lamp, right? The fucking Aladdin lamp, right? And I rubbed that, and the genie came out and said, I will grant you all your wishes. You just can't drink. Right? And that's a no-brainer for anybody, right? Mm-hmm. They'll give you money, they'll give you everything, not peace of mind, because I don't think that's possible. But like that, and it's like, all you got to do is give up drinking. That's a no-brainer, man. Mm-hmm. That's a no-brainer, man. And it's like, I'm not missing nothing with alcohol, man. I really ain't. Granted, my girl drinks, so I'll go out with her a couple times. Well, she sees I get uncomfortable quick in places like that. But I ain't missing nothing. These people are getting drunk, they're acting fools, they're getting sloppy, and I'm like, this is what it was like. And like, not to, but
that's
like
what we were like.
I was a nightmare. Mm-hmm. I was a nightmare. I was either crying, fighting. It was just
big crier, huh?
Huh?
Big crier.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. Oh, just not like that later on that night. I get home and I'll be like, just you don't understand.
Yeah. But, oh my God. Yeah. No. So my perception of like how you've turned all of your pain into a purpose, right? Because I think it's actually really good for us to hear as well, because we're hard on ourselves. Like I'm sure you're much like myself in the sense of like this imposter syndrome, right? Where it's like,
that's real. I mean? That's real.
But like you've turned all of this pain into like a sense of purpose, right? Like if you look at your son, right, and we've referenced him. If you go back, we referenced him as Knucklehead.
Yeah.
But really, he's a fucking ace of a kid.
Ace, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know him from a can of paint, nor would I, right? But to see his accolades in high school and like, wrestling 1 year, 2 years?
What? 2 years.
My man, what did he win? He was a beast.
Yeah. And then he just did his first tournament, and now he's training. He's got more Muay Thai experience under him, and it's something he wants to do, man. It's something he wants to do. I support him 100%, and that he's expected to go places. Let's put it like this.
So he probably needs a content guy, but where I was going with that is to see like how he's grew up to be like a productive member of society, for all things considered, is great, right?
What's productive? What's he doing that's productive?
we ain't got to talk. Listen, he's how old is he? 21? Not even.
No, I'll be 20 this year.
Dude, he's productive.
Yeah, I got you.
Shows up to work.
Yeah.
It's better than I was doing.
Yeah,
at that age. Not only are you a really good like stepfather, right? Or
to Blake, yeah.
But you're about to be a father again, right? You're about to be a husband, if she doesn't kill you. dude. But more importantly, right? Like you want to talk about like the uncomfortability piece of like you getting in front of a camera. It's been really cool, and I know you just kind of segued and like made some changes, but like seeing how you have fully dove into that, right? And like gotten in front of the camera and like spoke as comfortable as you possibly can, right? Like you are a gleaming example of like you don't have to be whatever your head tells you that you are. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can be whatever you want to be, right? And the feet kind of, I don't know which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but like it follows. And it's been really cool to see because like how many people are getting sober or like recreating their life and have like very similar stories to you, and they're like, I could never get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they tune into this episode, essentially they could be like, dude, Ernie's no different than me. You know what I mean? He still talks like he's from Frankfurt. You know, I know we don't talk about like the shiny stuff, but like you could go over to Washington Township and like you'd have no clue that this guy talks like he's from Frankfurt. You know what I mean?
I could change the dialect up real quick.
Well, yeah, you have to over there.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, good to see
How
you.
you doing?
But yeah, that's my perception of it, right? Where it's like we don't understand like how far the ripple effect really goes. And I think like you subconsciously continuing to keep like your nose down and working hard, right, could be like really affecting people in a positive way. You have no idea, like tenfold.
I mean, my phone, like, people reach out, like, I'm an open book, man. Especially if, like, you know what I mean? We have a relationship. I'm an open book, man. I want the best for all my friends, man. I really do. And even, like, helping, the newcomers and, like I said, I do that self-help commitment a lot and going up there and just, like really, I just really understand that being in that room, man, and, like, what it's like to have nothing. And, like, nowhere to turn, nowhere to go, and still feel uncomfortable. Like, when you have everything right now in front of you, you got food, you got a place to sleep, and still feeling like this ain't it.
Well, that's like a whole nother episode, right? Because like that's like just what we suffer from, right? Where it's like I could have everything in this world, right? And if I'm not doing okay internally, right? Essentially, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or I could be sitting at self-help for the umpteenth time, right? Not have a dollar to my name or like a license, right? And essentially be happy as dog shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not withdrawal. So there's like there's my tidbit of like my constant internal struggle. You know what I mean? But yeah, with that, we won't ramble anymore. I really do appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you guys next week.